But you've also mixed with royalty. Prince Harry himself. What did he ask you to take part in his Radio 4 program?
Yeah, there's a picture. He asked me to take part in his Radio 4 program. It was an honour, you know.
Yeah.
Is that before or after you hit him? Looks like he's recovering from the blow there.
That's me smiling at the 6 security guards watching me as well. Yeah. No, but real humble guy. Really cool guy. Big respect to Harry, you know. He took one of the sisters. He took one of the sisters. So big respect to him. And I'd love to, you know. I'd love to. He handed out some Jamaican rum.
Find the bar.
You can go to the afters. You can go to the afters. The disco. Yeah.
You know. See if she got any sisters, aunties. I'm single.
All right, family, welcome back. And if this is your first time here, go ahead and get comfortable because this channel is all about truth, context, and celebrating the Sussexes. First of all, huge congratulations to Anthony Joshua on his latest win against Jake Paul. Because listen, that wasn't just a victory, that was a reminder. A reminder that discipline beats noise. Consistency beats clout, and real champions don't need gimmicks to shine. So, back to today's story. You have just listened to the clip, and I want you to sit with it for a second. Because what you saw wasn't hype, it wasn't overproduced, it wasn't dramatic. It was casual, it was relaxed, it was natural. That's usually how the truth shows up, quietly, confidently, without trying too hard. What stood out to me immediately is how easy that moment felt. There was no performance, no overthinking, no script, just a man talking about another man he knows, respects, and clearly feels comfortable around. And that comfort tells you everything. When people describe someone without hesitation, without qualifiers, without nervously dancing around their words, that's usually because their experience has been consistent. They don't have to reach. They don't have to exaggerate. They're just speaking from memory. And that's what made this moment special. Anthony Joshua is not someone who needs to impress anyone. He's disciplined, accomplished, globally respected, and very intentional about how he moves. He doesn't casually praise people unless he means it, and he certainly doesn't do it in a way that feels forced or calculated. So when someone like that describes Prince Harry as humble, grounded, and genuine, that's not a throwaway compliment. That's character recognition. What I loved most was the tone of the exchange. It was playful, warm, human, the kind of banter you only see when people feel safe speaking freely. There was no stiffness, no rehearsed delivery, just laughter and familiarity. And that tells us something important. Prince Harry moves through the world as himself, not as a title, not as a headline, not as an image, but as a person, someone who forms real friendships across industries, cultures, and experiences. Athletes, veterans, humanitarians, creatives, community leaders, people who value discipline, humility, resilience, and purpose. That's not accidental. People gravitate toward those who treat them as equals, who listen more than they talk, who don't lead with ego, who don't need to dominate a room to be respected. And that's the through line you keep seeing. The humility comment wasn't performative. It wasn't exaggerated. It was delivered the same way someone might say, yeah, he's solid, or he's good people. Simple, direct, no embellishment. That's the highest compliment. Because humility isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand attention. Humility shows up in how someone listens, in how they treat people who can do nothing for them, in how they move when there's nothing to gain. And when you think about Harry's life, truly think about it, you start to see why people who know him describe him the way they do. He grew up in extraordinary circumstances, yes, but he also experienced extraordinary loss at a very young age. That kind of loss has a way of stripping away illusions early. It forces perspective. It changes how you see the world, how you connect with people, how you value time and sincerity. It matures you in ways privilege alone never could. And instead of becoming hardened or closed off, Harry became curious, empathetic, open, willing to learn from people whose lives looked nothing like his. That openness is what allows him to move comfortably in spaces far removed from palaces and protocol. It's why athletes respect him, why veterans trust him, why people from completely different backgrounds feel at ease around him. You don't fake that. And let's talk about the lightness of the moment, the joking, the laughter, the easy humor. That's something else people don't talk about enough. People who carry a lot of inner tension don't joke easily. They don't relax into laughter. Humor requires presence. It requires confidence. It requires not taking yourself too seriously. That playful nod to love and partnership wasn't objectifying. It wasn't dismissive. It was affectionate, familiar, the kind of humor that comes from warmth, not distance. It reflected comfort with Meghan as a person, not an abstract concept. Comfort with their relationship as something normal, healthy, and grounded. And that's important. Because what you saw wasn't a spectacle. It was normalization. A friend acknowledging another friend's life choice with humor and respect. No drama, no exaggeration, no mythology. Just life. And honestly, that's the best kind of content there is. If you enjoyed this moment as much as I did, go ahead and like the video. It helps more than you know. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this channel is all about celebrating authenticity, calling out nonsense when needed, and highlighting the moments that remind us of shared humanity. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.